There was this huge thunderstorm that came through Norman the other day, and there was this clap of lightning that just literally startled me. And if you live here in town, you probably know what I'm talking about. It was so loud, and I literally was just shook up inside when it happened. It startled me completely, and when it happened, I just started thinking about how incredible God is, and then my thoughts started just rolling a little bit more, and I started thinking a lot of people think that if they do something wrong, like God's going to strike them with lightning. I mean, I've heard these types of things that it's kind of this running joke, but I think inside of us we really believe things like that God is just waiting to just take us out all the time. And this is why we have these weird kind of just dysfunctional relationships with God where we might have a really good day and things are going well, and so we automatically assume that God really likes us that day. And and we're just living right, and he's happy with us, and so he's just having favor upon us. And then so when we have a bad day and we stub our toe on the furniture, or the car doesn't start, or someone says something mean to us, we just assume that God hates us. And so we have this weird relationship with God where we just think he's either really happy with us or really mad at us, and it's just killing us spiritually. And that's why you have a lot of TV preachers that'll get on the television and they'll say things like God's wrath was, poured out upon this nation on 9/11 because we're a bunch of sinners, and there's this and that going on and all of this. And when the hurricane hit New Orleans, it was all the sin that was in that city. And I mean, my question for those guys is what wisdom and special knowledge do you have to claim that as God's judgment? Because according to the scriptures, I mean, that's not how it works. Just not. I mean, I get it. I mean, I know God is not happy with a lot of things that are going on in America and in our families and in our lives. I get that part of it. I mean, I believe in God's wrath and I believe in God's judgment, but I think it plays itself out a lot differently than we really think about it in the way that we picture it today. I mean, Romans chapter 1, it talks about God's judgment very simply. And it's literally plays itself out like this, that God's judgment is poured out on us by allowing us to do what we want to do. That's how God judges us. He gives us over. He allows us to do what we want. And if we want to indulge ourselves in things that we know aren't good, God's going to let us do that. I mean, God is very rarely going to make you and I do anything. I mean, he's a gentleman. We have the choice. And so when I say God's judgment is poured out upon us by letting us do what we want, it's simply put like this, that God lets me do what I want, and when I do that and I take matters in my own hands, I bring judgment upon myself. And so when I don't include God in my life and my decisions, and I'm like a renegade and do what I want, and I look back and it's a mess and there's disaster all around me, I have no one to blame but myself. It's not God's fault. Because most of the time, Daniel Kitchell gives himself enough rope to hang himself. That's the way it works. When I was a little kid, I got mad at my mom. I was about 7, I believe, and I wanted to leave and I wanted to run away. And I told my mom I was leaving. 7 years old. It's a great idea, right? And my mom said, all right, here's a bag. Get out of here. My mom didn't stop me because my mom knew that I was making a bad decision. And she knew that once I realized that I would realize that home with her was the best place to be. And God's the same way. He is going to let you keep doing what you're doing. He's going to knock on your heart. He's going to convict you and all of those types of things, but he's not going to stop you. And the sad but true thing is that a lot of times the judgment of our actions will. And then it's too late. And And then we're left scratching our heads and wondering where God is when he was there all along. So ask yourself today, what am I doing in my life that God is letting me get away with that is going to hurt me and hurt other people? Because that's the real judgment that's coming. And we've got to start thinking about it in these ways. I love you all, and I hope you have a great weekend. And as always, I want to hear from you, and I hope to have some discussion with you. And again, I ask us to always be the church. Thanks.